So I called up my silver dealer today and said, hey, I'm looking for some 90% silver. Do you have any? He did. Hey everybody, this is Rob with RobFindsTreasure, and this is an obscene amount of constitutional silver. The irony is I do buy a lot of silver from my silver dealer every single month, and last month I actually didn't make a trip, so I started to run low. So I called him up and I said, I need some constitutional silver, and he said, Rob, I've got a ton, but I got a guy who wants to buy it all. If you don't buy it all, I need to sell it all to him. In other words, he couldn't break it up. So we got $350 in face value of U.S. constitutional silver here. Looks like there's Mercury dimes, Roosevelt dimes, George Washington quarters, SLQ quarters, Benjis, Kennedys, Walkers. We got some Morgans, some peace dollars. I don't even know what else is in here, but that's just what I can kind of see. And I'm excited to get into it. I thought I noticed a couple of barber halves and maybe some barber quarters too. But again, I don't know for certain what's in here. What I think I will do first and foremost is give you a look at some of these Morgans and peace dollars. He did say some were pretty slick, but he gave me a good deal on these. Only $18 a piece. Now, some of these are pretty much coal, and some of them are better than $18, but I'll take it. Either way, we'll start off with the Morgan and peace dollars, see if we got anything good, and then we'll move on to the half dollars next. All right, so I've got all the Morgan dollars situated here. I'll kind of go through them quickly, and then I'll let you know the ones that I'm excited about. We got an 1879p, an 1880s, an 1884p, an 1885p, an 1886 Philadelphia, an 1891 New Orleans or O, a 1921 in really good shape, an 1892 O, an 1892 P, a 1900 O, three 1899 S's. Not the greatest shape, but we'll get back to those. A 1902 minted in Philly, and a 1904 minted in San Francisco. Now that I've covered all those, the best shape one is this 1921, of course. Pretty good toning, Philadelphia minted Morgan dollar. But that's not the one I'm excited about. Let me clean up the comments real quick, and I'll show you the few that have a little more value than the bucks that I paid for them. All right, so we've got the stack there, but these are the ones I want to spend a little more time on. This is an 1892, and I would say it qualifies as probably very fine 20. You have 2/3 of the hairlines between the forehead and the ear, so it's definitely a VF 20 at the minimum, in my opinion. An 1892 only had 1,036,000 struck, so it's a little bit better date. Obviously, in the very fine condition, you're looking at about a $30 to $40 coin. This one gets to be a lot more higher in value, like all Morgan dollars, if it were to hit mint state. It's not mint state at all, for sure, but it's definitely a very fine 20, maybe a very fine 30 in my opinion. For a coin I paid $18 for, I'm sure it's at least valued between $30 and $35, so I'm happy to have it. What's really cool is these 1899 S's. Now, one's in terrible shape, not even a fine. One's in probably right under very fine 20, maybe a fine 15. And one is most certainly a VF 20 in my opinion. 1899 S actually had 2.5 million minted. And once again, these coins in a VF 20 are about a $40 coin. So we got 3 of them, only one in probably a VF 20, but we paid $18 a piece, $54 for the lot, and we almost got our value back in the one Morgan dollar right here. Plus, that upgrades my Morgan dollar album. Next up, and finally for the older ones, we had a 1904S. And a 1904S had 2.3 million minted. And in VF20, this thing is about a $75 coin. This is not VF20, but still, $18 for a very hard to come across coin. I needed an upgrade for my book. This will upgrade. It's probably in this condition a $35 coin tops, but it's still a good find. Doubled my money on that one. I'm happy. And then even though it's a common 1921 Philadelphia minted Morgan dollar, it's beautiful. This one's probably in the AU 53 range. I'll take it all day. It's got some original luster, does have some good toning. I'm not mad at it. In this condition, again, it's probably a $35 coin, which I paid $18 for. So not a bad score on the Morgans. I'll take it. Let me upgrade my albums, get the rest of these into rolls, and we'll check out the piece dollars next. So for the piece dollars, nothing fantastic. We got a 22 Philadelphia minted Noma Relief piece dollar. We did find a couple of 24S's. One's very slick. It's pretty much coal, but this one's not too bad. We'll definitely take that. A couple of 25 Philadelphias. Again, nothing fantastic about them. 26 Philadelphia. Decent shape. A couple of 26S's. Not the greatest, but not horrible. And I guess the best find is the 27D, probably at VF30 to EF40, which puts it about a $35 piece dollar. And I can't get mad at that. Again, we paid $18 on average for the silver dollars, so we'll take that. Pretty much break even on most of these, and this one gave us a little bit of profit, which I will take. We'll get those wrapped up. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the half dollars. And what I'll do first is I'll take the bag and I'll dump it out and show you what I'm working with. And I'll get all the dimes, all the quarters removed, and just leave the half dollars for us to take a look at. Holy cow, I dumped out that bag and it barely makes it on my mat. And there is a lot of silver here that I need to go through. This is going to take a while. We've got some decent SLQs in there. I'll take that all day. I see a lot of Walking Liberty half dollars. I see a lot of Ben Franklins. I see some Kennedys as well, which we'll be checking for any varieties. I see some nice Rosies as well as some pretty trashy ones. Merc Dimes, you name it. I don't see a lot of Barber stuff. Oh, there's a Barber half right there, 1907D. So there'll probably be some Barber stuff in here. But we'll see after I stack it up what we got. Man, that's a lot of silver. It's gorgeous, though. Let me get it stacked up, and then I'll bring you guys back in, and we'll work on the half dollars next. Just a quick update. We got the half dollars stacked up and separated from the quarters and the dimes. We've got to sort those now by Walker, Benji, Kennedy, Barber, you name it. I will point out that in there, I did notice we had a 64 proof Kennedy, 90% silver half dollar. Wasn't expecting that. It's not in the best shape, but it's not too bad either. We'll add it to the collection and see what other goodies we got. All right, we have got the half dollar stacked. Surprisingly, just that one Barber that we saw sitting on top when I was getting ready to stack the silver. But we got a nice stack of Walkers, a good stack of Benjis. And let me tell you, a lot of these are some semi-key dates, and this is a beautiful 1949 Denver, to say the least. Pretty happy with some of them. Of course, there are some others that aren't as nice. And then a stack of Kennedys and the surprise proof that was in there. Now that we've got them stacked, I've got to go through them and see if there's any semi-key dates, or any varieties. I'm going to start with the Kennedys first and see if we have any of the 64 DDOs that are listed. Well, unfortunately, none of the 64 PRDs had the DDO or DDRs that I was looking for. I've got them in 3 stacks here. Pretty decent ones. Ones that are candidates for some MS-70 cleaner because they're pretty toasty as far as they've got gunk on them. Like this one has some gunk on the back, but the front is fine. Might do a little cleaning on these in a separate video or just do it off camera, but I do want to spend a little more time on them. And then, of course, the proof is pretty nice. Now that we've checked the 64 Kennedys, let's see if we have any good Benjis. And specifically, I'm looking for better conditioned any of these dates. I know I saw a lot of 49s in here, but I'm looking for ones that might upgrade my album or have a little more value because they have good detail still, just like this Benji right here. Let me go through the Benjis and see what we got. So for the Benjis, I've already rolled up all the regular ones, and we got a whole bunch of 49s in here, which is a better date, including that nice one that I've already shown you. As far as 52S is concerned, we did get one. It's pretty worn, but it's always nice seeing a 52S. And I did keep one 52 out, 52P, in really great shape. And then as far as 53, which is another better date, we didn't get any, and we didn't get any 55s. But we got a stack of 54S's as well. So not too bad on the Benjis. More Benjis for the stream. Makes me happy. Might upgrade one of these. I'll take a look in the album. Probably not. My Benji album looks really good. Mostly mint state. So I don't think those will upgrade, but I'll take a peek. Now that I've done that, move on to the Walking Liberties next and see if we have any of the better dates or any of the varieties. So we've got the walkers sorted by year. Pretty good amount of 47, 46, 45, a few 44s, a lot of 43, 42, and 41s, of course. 40, 39, no 38s, of course. 37, 36, 35, and 34. Obviously no 21s as expected. We do have a 1920 Philly, two 1918 Phillies, two 1918 Denvers. We have two 1917 Phillies, not in the best of shape. And we even have an undated, but because it has a D mint mark on the obverse, we know it's a 1917 Denver obverse minted Walking Liberty. We have two undated ones. One has an S on the back. I don't know if I can get that for you, but there is an S right there. So who knows what it is? Judging by the wear, I mean, it could even be the infamous 1916S. We just don't know. I can't tell. Either way, it's undated, so it's cool. At the end of the day, nothing really fancy schmancy in here. A lot of walkers, which is always a good thing. Now I've got to check some of the years for the varieties that I want to look for, and if I find anything, I'll let you know. Otherwise, we'll move on to the quarters, but I did want to point out we got one barber as well. Well, unfortunately, in the Walking Liberties, none of the DDOs or DDRs that we could find. That's par for the course. Sometimes they're too worn to actually see the detail you need to see, and sometimes you just don't have them. Still, that's a lot of $50 I get to add to my stack, and that makes me happy. Now that we've done that, we've got to tackle the quarters and the dimes next. I'll bring you in after I get the quarters stacked by denomination type. So SLQs, barbers, and Washingtons, and we'll see how it looks up here. All right, I know I said I'd do it by denomination first, but all I did was just quickly separate the quarters into stacks I could manage from the dimes. Now I'll go back through here and get the SLQs and the GWs sorted. All right, so for sake of time, I've got the GW quarters separated. These are all 1951 through 1964, and yes, I'm aware of the Type 2 reverses on the 55 and later dates, but I'm not going to check that to save time in this video. That'll be for another video or another hunt. Instead, I've got the 1950s here, the 40s here, the 30s here, the nice stack of SLQs here, and we had one barber quarter. I think what I'll do now is I'm going to search for any of the varieties found from the 1932 through 1950 GW quarters. If I run into any of those, I'll bring it back in. Otherwise, we'll move on to the SLQs. Well, unfortunately, my variety search in the George Washington quarter years proved to no avail. I checked several of the double die reverses, double die obverses from every year from 1934 through 1950. And it was tough, but it was well worth it because you don't want to overlook one in case you got one, especially when you have that many quarters purchased at one time. Still, had a lot of fun, and I went ahead and sorted out my SLQs. Got a pretty good stack of 1930s with dates, 1929s, 28s, 27 here, and I looked for a DRS, but there's no mint mark. It's a 27P. We also have a 1926, and we have a 1925. That's the dated ones. There are some DRS mint marks on the other of the later years, but there's no additional value for those. We had 3 dateless Type 2 SLQs, as well as 1 dateless S-minted mark SLQ Type 2. The coolest find of all the quarters is this 1904. Now, I thought it was a 1904P. I didn't look at the back. Checked out, it was an O. The 1904 O barber quarter is actually a better date. And I'll grab the red book just for funsies. But a 19040, only 2.5 million minted roughly, it gets about $30 Redbook value in G4 condition. Now that's Redbook value, you pretty much can cut that in half, but at the end of the day, a 1904 Barber quarter with an O mint mark, probably a $10 to $15 coin in this condition, and I was not expecting it. I'll see if I have it for my album. If not, I'll see if I can add it, and if I do have one, I'll see if by chance this pretty slick one upgrades. Let me wash my hands, and then we'll move over to the dimes, because that's going to be a lot of work. All right, we've got the Mercury dimes separated from the Rosy dimes. Maybe I missed one or two. I'll double check before I get them all tubed up. But now let's go through the Mercury dimes, see if we have any better dates, any really nice condition ones, or if we're really lucky, a variety or two. Quick update. I've already checked all of my teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s Mercury dimes for any issues or any nice, good bands. Didn't see anything really worth holding on to. These are all my 42s now. We're going to now check for the variety known as the 42 over 41 and see if we have any. I have never found one. I'm hoping we've got one in this limited number of 42s. Well, unfortunately, we didn't find any varieties in the Mercury dimes or any key or semi-key dates. As expected, it was a small sample set anyway, and I had fun checking them. Now we've got to go through the Rosy dimes, and really for all of these, I'm not going to do much besides grab out any 55s I see in here, because, ironically enough, I have a few subscribers looking for 1955 Rosy dimes, and I might have some in here. We'll have to see. Let me get these rolled up and checked, and I'll bring you back in for a wrap-up. Well, as fate would have it, and why wouldn't it have it that way, no 55s. For those wondering, 1955 struck a very small amount of dimes from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and of course, we didn't get any. Anyway, at the end of the day, I've got everything wrapped up, rolled up, ready to go. The only thing missing from here is the Peace and Morgan dollars, which I've already put into my collection. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me go through a constitutional silver purchase, my biggest one ever. If you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, happy stacking, and thanks for watching.